This video is sponsored by Nova, but you guys should probably be able to get that within the first 5 seconds of the video.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Zoe, and as I say in almost every single YouTube video, this video is not going to be like my last content. Super introductory over, today's video is probably going to be one of the most important videos I ever made. I need to be more transparent with you guys. And when all of my videos are ending like this, because I got viscerally ill and started throwing up everywhere, and I'm feeling very dizzy and faint because my medical condition POTS. I have a headache. Back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, I am Zoe, and ever since around December, I have been consecutively sick almost every single week. I am extremely fatigued because I am currently sick, but recording regardless, so you guys can kind of infer that my health hasn't been the greatest recently. If you've been here for a minute, you guys know that I struggle with my medical condition Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and POTS and a bunch of comorbidities that come along with it, like bladder and kidney issues. But if you're new here, you might have not known that or speculated that because I don't look disabled. And it's no surprise to anybody, I've been talking about it a lot recently, is my health has taken a turn for the worse over the last few years. Living in a medical desert that doesn't really have any doctors that either specialize in my conditions or will take patients in a timely manner. I live in Indiana, our medical resources are very limited. We don't really have many doctors that specialize in connective tissue disorders and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So out here I'm kind of screwed, and my health has been getting worse as an effect of it. That's also the primary reason why my husband and I are moving back to my home state of Washington to receive the medical care I've been needing for a bit. My family recently moved back to Washington and I've been having great success with the doctors out there, but it's definitely been a scary last few years for me and my health. Just like my computer builds, I actually have a notes section for this portion of the video where I'm going to be going over the science behind my medical conditions and how they affect me in my day-to-day. So I'm not going to get too much on how they affect me in the introductory portion because we will be going over it shortly before I get into the real meat of this video. But I just want to say over the last few years, I've found great help in accommodating myself with mobility aids because of my condition worsening. I am an ambulatory mobility aid user. I have the ability to walk and I can walk for short periods of time, but I do experience a lot of chronic pain, fatigue, and balance issues standing up for longer periods of time. Mobility aids are scary for a lot of people because you feel as if it's a loss of independence, but if you're really in the position of needing a mobility aid, such as a cane, a rollator, a wheelchair, you will find that the independence you gain from having the pain relief and the balance relief, it outweighs the hassle of having to use a mobility aid. My mobility aid story is a tale as old as time for a lot of people figuring out what mobility aid works for them best. It started with a cane. I was using a cane on my bad days, and as my baseline slid further and further down the line and my health deteriorated more, my bad days for a cane became every day. And now I am reliant on my cane for my balance issues, my dislocation issues, and things that come with my medical conditions. And on my bad days, I began to rely on a rollator. Almost a year ago, I collaborated with this brand Nova Joy Products. They're actually who's sponsoring today's video, and they gifted me this rollator and a bunch of accessories to go along with it for my first rollator and my first step away from just being a cane user. And I found amazing relief with the rollator for my bad days for quite some time. Once again, my baseline of a bad day shifted further down the line, and I began to realize that I needed something more than a rollator. It's hard enough to admit to yourself that your mobility is declining, let alone at 23. When all your friends are going to bars and partying and running marathons and going on triathlons and hiking and doing all these things that you couldn't even dream of doing. So as much as my videos are usually chipper and upbeat, please understand that behind that, this has been a very difficult pill for me to swallow, that my health is indeed getting worse. And something that only validified that was my siblings' health was getting worse living out here too, and so was my mom's, and we all share the same condition. And that when they moved back to my home state of Washington, they've actually been receiving the care we've so desperately needed living in a medical desert. Just please know that my social media is a time capsule of my best moments that I choose to share with you guys, and I'm neglecting to show you guys a lot of the pain and medical scares and medical red flags that I've been having behind the scenes that have absolutely been impacting my ability to make content the way I would be liking to make content. So a big help for that to me has been accommodating myself with mobility aids, and my baseline has just shifted to that point where I'm recognizing it's time for a wheelchair. So please forgive me if I get teary-eyed or have to voice over parts because I'm just very like about it. This is a hard video for me. In order to be my authentic self with you guys on social media and to feel like I have a true connection with my following base, you guys need to understand what's wrong with me. So today's video is sponsored by Nova, and I'm sure by the title or whatever I make the thumbnail, you guys can see where this is going. This is my first wheelchair unboxing, but Nova and the CEO are so kind to me and have my back always, that not only did they provide me a wheelchair and a couple accessory goodies to go along with it, but they provided me my transport chair, and I'll be showing you guys the differences between a self-propel wheelchair and a transport chair. And yeah, so before I keep rambling or cry some more, because I've already cried and this is just the intro, let's get into the science portion of what the hell is wrong with me and my family, so you guys can get a little bit of a better understanding of where I'm coming at with these mobility aids. Let's get to know me a little bit more than I ever thought I'd be telling you guys about myself. Note section, Zoe, now. And before we get into today's sciencey note section, I want to give the disclaimer that I am not a doctor, I am not a medical professional, and I cannot diagnose you. This is just my lived experience with my medical condition, and POTS and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, both alike, are very much so spectrum disorders, so they can affect you less than they affect me, or more than they affect me, because it affects everybody who has these conditions differently. Like I said, I am not a doctor, I'm just playing one on TV, and now that we've got that disclaimer out of the way, let's get into this. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a series of 13 subtypes of connective tissue and collagen disorders. The most common being hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which you can get diagnosed with the Beighton scale. The Beighton scale is a 9-point scoring system used to assess joint hypermobility and look at how loose and flexible your joints already are from base standard. My family and I are diagnosed with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome because we're all pretty bendy. And when my family's genetic testing came back, we also showed indicators for having type A and possible osteogenesis imperfecta, but I'll get more into that when I move to Washington and I can get further testing on myself done. But before I get too ahead of myself, let's go back to the basics. We know this is a collagen and connective tissue disorder, but what does collagen and connective tissue even really do? Unfortunately, a lot. It aids in a lot of essential functions in your body, such as your GI tract, bladder, kidneys, your veins, your arteries. It can cause, organ ruptures. Like my younger brother had an organ rupture very young. His appendix ruptured at 2 years old, which is incredibly medically uncommon. It makes me medically fragile, as in my connective tissue can't hold my bones in place. A lot easier to dislocate and subluxate. A subluxation is just a partial dislocation where your joint slips out of its spot and usually can pop back into place, but it's still very painful. So the entire glue that's holding my body together and aiding in all of my essential functions, since birth, my body has been creating the connective tissue for incorrectly. And as you can imagine, with the constant dislocations and subluxations and all the other health issues that come with having a connective tissue disorder, because it affects you in so many different ways, I have had chronic pain my entire life. I don't think I've known a day since birth that my body hasn't been hurting, which sounds harsh to say, but it's just my reality, truly. And for the longest time, I thought everybody else was hurting as bad as I was. Not to mention all the very real and very dangerous medical complications that people with connective tissue disorders can have. We can have adverse reactions to anesthetics. A lot of the time, numbing doesn't work on us. We have to have a specific kind of stitches done whenever we get stitches, because regular stitches can just rip through easily on connective tissue disordered having skin. And personally for me, a good example of a medical complication I had with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome was when I had my wisdom teeth removed. What hurt worse than the wisdom tooth removal itself was the fact that my dental surgeon dislocated my jaw very badly. It's absolutely not a fun condition to have or manage, and I haven't even gotten to the part that I mentioned at the beginning that it comes with a million comorbidities as well. You're more likely to have mast cell activation syndrome and histamine intolerance. For people with menstrual cycles, you're more likely to have endometriosis and PCOS. Very briefly touching on the sciences behind why people with connective tissue disorders and hypermobility issues struggle with menstrual cycles so badly is because the week before and the week of your menstrual cycle, your body spikes a hormone called progesterone. Progesterone is the hormone that makes your muscles in your body loosen and lax. And for somebody who deals with hypermobility in their muscles already, loosening and laxing an already loose and lax muscle just makes you dislocate and subluxate substantially easier for 2 weeks of the month. That's half of the month I'm dealing with much easier dislocations and subluxations because of my menstrual cycle. That's not even including your endometriosis and PCOS symptoms that you may be experiencing because you're more likely to have it as a comorbidity. And for myself, I've always struggled with really bad and excruciatingly painful periods, leaving me bedridden for the first half of my cycle. So it's been a major contributor into my decision of getting a wheelchair today, along with my other major comorbidity that we're going to be talking about, POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. You're going to hear this a lot with patients with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but I'm not insinuating that everybody with EDS has POTS and vice versa, because that's not always the case. They just often go hand in hand together. In recent years, we've definitely seen an uptick in people being diagnosed with POTS. Because you can develop it, anyone can develop it, post-viral infection. And what viral infection took the world by storm about 5 years ago? COVID. So a lot of people have developed POTS post-COVID. Personally, me, I've had POTS symptoms prior to COVID, years prior to COVID, and a lot of people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome just kind of already have POTS. And COVID definitely made it worse for me, but I was already dealing with these symptoms pre-pandemic. But what even is POTS? Postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome is often misrepresented as a heart condition, which it's not. It's a dysregulation of your autonomic nervous system. And your autonomic nervous system is responsible for all of your involuntary bodily functions, things that you shouldn't have to think about, such as how your heart pushes your blood throughout your body, your heart rate, your blood pressure, your breathing, your digestion. And when this autonomic nervous system is pretty much going haywire and sending off the wrong signals, it can affect your body in many ways. And if you'd like to dig even deeper with POTS, there are 3 different subtypes. There's neuropathic, hyperengenic, and hypovolemic. And personally, I have not done enough testing or dug deep enough into my diagnosis with my medical care team to know which one I have just yet. So I will keep you guys updated when I get to Washington State and can get more testing done. But how does POTS affect me personally? I deal with a lot of blood pooling in my lower extremities. My blood gets to my feet and it stays there because my heart struggles to pump it back up. A lot of people with POTS also deal with low blood volume. That's what we're kind of thinking I might have, is I don't have a lot of blood in my body, so my body struggles to get it back up to my heart. I deal with not getting enough blood to my brain, not getting enough oxygen to my brain, a lot of brain fog, a lot of chronic fatigue. I am constantly tired. I can fall asleep anywhere at any time for any allotted amount of hours and still feel exhausted. As for other big symptoms, bladder and digestion issues that play hand in hand with the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, like they're playing patty cake on my entire life. I'm often dizzy and it feels like the world is moving out from underneath me, or if I'm drunk but without the fun part of being drunk, just the motion sickness part of being drunk. Motion sickness, huge thing for me. I can't count the amount of times I've had my husband or my parents pull over while driving so I can barf off the side of the road because I am constantly motion sick even if I am still. So you guys can only imagine what being in a car feels like to me. Can't do roller coasters, can't do high heights or anything like that. Altitude sickness is huge for me, and temperature regulation. Dear God, I have hot flashes as if I was having menopause and I'm 23. I am constantly being affected by POTS, especially in the tachycardia department, because I am also diagnosed with inappropriate sinus tachycardia. My heart rate just spikes sometimes. I will be sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing, my heart rate will spike. But in the title, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, it says it has something something to do with posture. So for a lot of people with POTS, it's from going from a laying down heart rate and then standing up. Your heart rate will spike instrumentally because your body's trying to compensate for all your blood flowing to your feet because of the blood pooling. It's a whole mess. I feel like a drunken sailor 24/7, but not even in a fun, cool Pirates of the Caribbean way. I am so fatigued and so dizzy, and my balance is horrible, and I am so sick constantly because of POTS. It's a very miserable condition to have. And giving you guys the context of POTS, now I can say the last and probably scariest symptom of POTS is the fainting. And now not everybody with POTS faints. You can understand why they would. We can't temperature regulate, our heart rate spikes really high and really low. For a good percentage of people with POTS, you won't faint. You will go into what's called presyncope. It is the feeling of right before fainting. You lose your eyesight, it starts vignetting on you, you'll see black spots, you'll be dizzy, you'll probably collapse, but you won't go into a full faint. It is a terrible episode to have, I've had many of them before. But I have also fully fainted. I can't temperature regulate really well. Showers are very hard for me. Or if I'm in like an intense conversation, if I'm ever to argue with you, chances are I might faint in the middle of it. Not a very good arguing point. Not a good arguing point, but you can't argue with a girl who's unconscious. So I hope this provided some context for my medical conditions and how they affect me in my day-to-day, and how integral it is for me to share this medical background with you guys and my personal experience with you guys before getting into today's video, because there is a common misconception that medical conditions that aren't visible to the naked eye aren't as valid as others. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, POTS, PCOS, endometriosis, what do they all have in common? They're all considered invisible illnesses. Invisible illnesses are conditions and ailments that are not visible to the naked eye but still affect the person having them very much so. A lot of our organs are on the inside and you can't see them. But because of invisible illnesses in our very broken medical system, it means a lot of people with these chronic illnesses, these age-long, lifelong illnesses that are just not visible to the naked eye, aren't getting diagnosed properly or in time. It took until I was 18 years old to be diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a condition that I have had since birth, a condition that I had had for over 6,570 days already. It is a genetic condition that not only do I have, but my brothers have, my mom has, my grandma has, my aunt has. It's passed down through the family. It is something that we're always gonna have, and there is no cure for. But because it's not visible to the naked eye, or at least to somebody who doesn't know what to look for, a lot of the times it goes underdiagnosed. I want to end this medical notes section off on a less daunting note. The Ehlers-Danlos community gathers more research, more information, and more knowledge every single day as medical professionals research deeper and deeper into connective tissue disorders. So much so that the Ehlers-Danlos community has garnered a mascot for themselves. The zebra. To explain what the zebra is, I'm going to use a quote from my favorite doctor from the hit series Scrubs.
Do you happen to know what a zebra is?
That patient just mocked me.
It's a diagnosis of a ridiculously obscure disease when it's much more likely that the patient has a common illness presenting with uncommon symptoms. In other words, if you hear hoofbeats, you just go ahead and think horsies, not zebras.
Exactly that. The medical system is set up to look at people on a horse, symptom by symptom basis. If you hear hoofbeats, you anticipate a horse that might have some strange symptoms, but is more than likely still a regular person. People with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome are the zebras. We are the exception. People will treat us on a symptom by symptom basis and get nowhere because we have headaches, we have eye issues, we have GI issues, we have bladder issues, we have kidney issues, we have skin issues, we have healing issues. They will send us to specialist after specialist after specialist, which in turn can end up with misdiagnosis or underdiagnosis of the root cause, which is our rare genetic condition. People with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and connective tissue disorders are the zebras in a horse-based medical society, and it definitely can make getting the treatments and the medical care we need and the diagnostics much harder. But I like to look at it in a positive light. We have finally enough community and doctors understanding and rallying and researching for us that we can have a mascot. And it means that in the future, with more research and more medical studies towards our conditions, we might be able to find treatments for symptoms. And that's not to give anyone false hope. they're probably not going to be able to cure a genetic condition, at least not in my lifetime. But they might be able to find treatments to make our most miserable symptoms better. And I find that exciting, and I want to leave this medical notes section off on that hopeful note that in the future, they might be able to make our quality of life better. And that's very exciting to me. But let's get back to the actual point of this video and real life Zoe. I feel like you guys have enough medical background to understand where I'm coming from now. And yeah, love you guys. Let's get back to real Zoe.
And now that you guys know the ins and outs of my very bendy body, let's get into the actual meat of this video, which is the unboxing of the two chairs, showing you guys the key features of them, the difference between the two. As you guys will be excited to hear, the final portion of the video is going to be giving my self-propel wheelchair a vampire doll makeover, and that's what I do for pretty much everything I own. It makes a rough situation better to be able to customize and feel really yourself in your surroundings and the things you have. So you know my wheelchair is going to be exactly that. Let's get into this unboxing. Love you guys. And as you can tell by this giant amount of boxes in my living room, Nova not only sent over a lightweight wheelchair for me to unbox today, but they sent over a transport chair so I can show the major differences between the two and show what scenarios one might work better than another and vice versa. Additionally, they also sent over some cushions for my chair, so I'm really excited to get into this boxing today, starting with their purple transport chair. I'll be linking the exact version in the description and putting a little picture here. The most accessible way to get your wheelchair out of the box is to flip the box on its side, pull out the top little box, which will be your footrests, set them aside. Oopsie. And to roll your wheelchair out. Like so. This is their purple transport chair, and it comes fully assembled already, aside from the leg rest. So to set this up, you just have to pull it apart and push down on the upholstery. And the bottom seat should lock in place like so. And these armrests just flip up and lock in like so. So the major difference that sets a transport chair away from a regular standard wheelchair is you will see there is no big wheel on the side. So the person being transported in a transport chair doesn't have the option to move themselves. They need to be pushed by somebody else or a caregiver. We're going to be installing our foldable and adjustable leg rests. So if you're shorter or taller, they can adjust to whatever your height may be. Slide these two loops onto their holders and then swing it around, and it should just clip in place. I'm dizzy. Leave me alone. Take two, because I got dizzy the first time. Foldable, adjustable leg rest. Very easy to install. You just slide them on their little holsters here, like so, and then you roll it around and it should just automatically lock in place. So I'm just having my husband adjust the leg rest to a length that feels comfortable. Oh, I think that one's the one. That one's the one. Can you do that one but for the other side? Because this one feels like my knee is too high. This transport chair has handbrakes for the person who is in the chair right here along the side. You just push them down and that should brake your wheel. But for the person who is pushing the chair, there are handbrakes up here. So if you're going down an incline, you can kind of pump the brakes a little bit, make sure you're not going down too quickly. And if you want to lock the person sitting down, you pull down on those handbrakes like my rollator, and now those wheels are locked in place. Next, we're gonna install our anti-tippers. God forbid anybody tries to tip you in your chair. I've had people try to trip me in my rollator before, so it is a precautionary measure. So A, you can't tip yourself back if you're going on an incline or trying to pop a wheelie that goes too bad, and B, so people can't tip you. They just slide into the back of your chair like so. This is down in their activated mode, and you can flip them upside down whenever you're not wanting them. But ideally, you're gonna wanna have these down just for a safety measure. It's kind of like having training wheels, but on your wheelchair. A really cool feature of this transport chair is you can push down and lift up both of the armrests. So if I'm coming to a desk, a computer desk, or a table to eat dinner at a restaurant, I can sit flush at the table as if I were in a chair and not have to worry about those armrests getting in the way. Overall, this seat has been really comfortable already, even without the cushions that they sent over, which we'll be getting into next. This transport chair is a 22-inch seat with a 400-pound weight capacity. It's more so for all terrain. I would take this to the park, on a trail. I can go a little bit off-road into some gravel and some grass more easily in this chair. In the scenario in which I use this chair though, my husband would have to push me. And I would say that's the main caveat to this chair, is you do not have the ability to push yourself. But it is a very comfortable ride, I will say. You just need somebody to be there to help push you.
Both chairs we're looking at today come with a booklet with all of the information regarding parts, a phone number you can call if you have any issues, and warranty information.
But while we're here, let's talk about the cushions that Nova sent over for these chairs, because they can be used on both chairs interchangeably. We have a cushion for both our back and our hiney. If you're going to be sitting on a wheelchair for a long period of time, a cushion is definitely something you should look into. And for my condition, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, I get sore and stiff in my lower back very easily. So this cushion, gonna come in handy. Starting with their Happy back cushion, it is a cushion that can go around a chair, including a wheelchair. Back cushion, it has blue cooling gel on the inside so your back can stay cool. It's very light and fluffy and has a grippy side to grip onto whatever chair you put it on, and these straps to strap onto your wheelchair. And this is their Happy Tush butt cushion. Yes indeed. Like I said, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, chronic pain, you know it's gonna come in handy. The Happy Tush is a cushion. It has more of that blue cooling gel on the inside. Little handle so it's easy to carry on there like so. The cushions are very squishy and they have that cooling gel inside, so I know they're gonna stay cool, and they provide me a little bit more butt and back support while I sit on a wheelchair. But I will be sewing these two custom fluffy covers to kind of match my rollator. This final unboxing is gonna be Nova's lightweight self-propel wheelchair. We're gonna do exactly what we did before with taking the box, putting it on its side, and you should be able to roll the wheelchair out. Granted, I took the leg rests already out. They're just in a separate box off to the side. And we're gonna take this wheelchair, wheel it right out of its box. And like the last wheelchair, it already comes pre-assembled. You just have to pull it open and push on the upholstery. Let's get the plastic off, all of the just remaining packaging peeled off real quick. Installing the footrests, they are adjustable and fold out just like the last ones, but they install exactly the same as the one for the transport chair. So you just fold it out, you have your little heel put in here, and you just clip it in. So for this one, you put it on, turn it around, and it'll clip into place like so. You rotate it, and it'll clip in place. Like the last time, I'm gonna have my husband adjust the footrest to the most comfortable position. As I'm not very tall, it is really nice to have a second person help you adjust your footrest so you can tell them exactly what's comfortable and you can stay seated the whole time.
Yeah, now I can adjust it. Alright, number 3.
That's one higher.
Shoes you got?
It's number 3.
Okay. I think one of my legs is shorter than the other. So this is my lightweight self-propel chair. The major key difference between a self-propel manual wheelchair and a transport chair is obviously the giant wheel. For this chair, it's self-propelling. I'm able to move around in it by myself and it's very independent. Whereas the transport chair, you do need somebody to push you. But fret not, if I'm feeling like I'm not able to push myself, if my upper arms are very weak with my condition, I could flip around, still have handles. So Brandon could theoretically still push me in this chair, and I have the option to move myself. Would be lying if I said I didn't already take this wheelchair out of its box, and I've been going around my living room the last couple days teaching myself how to use a self-propel chair, because there is a little bit of a learning curve as a new wheelchair user. but I definitely feel like I've gotten the hang of it by now, and that's very exciting. On the sides of this wheelchair, there are your hand brakes, so if you want to park your chair, you can just park your chair effectively, sitting, chilling, eating dinner, whatever. And speaking of eating dinner, just like the transport chair, this has the pop-up armrest, so I can sit flush at a chair or at a desk without my armrests getting in the way of me reaching the table. If we flip around one more time, you guys can see that the anti-tippers came pre-installed. So if I have a wheelie that goes wrong, or if I'm going up an incline that is rather steep and I feel my chair tipping back, those anti-tippers prevent me from completely falling backwards. This chair comes in 16, 18, and 20 inches. I got the 20-inch chair. Realistically, I probably could have gotten away with getting the 18-inch chair, but the 20-inch chair is very comfortable. It does sit at wider than the transport chair, although the transport chair does have a 22-inch seat. These wheels just make it a little bit wider than the transport chair. It's a very comfortable chair already, but of course I'm going to be taking those cushions that are on my transport chair and putting them on this chair, as this chair is probably going to be primarily my mainly used chair. This chair is not all-terrain like the transport chair is. The transport chair, you can go on gravel, you can go on grass, you can go through mud, whereas this chair is definitely more of an indoor chair or a pavement chair. This chair would be fine for a trail that's paved, or, you know, in a store, in a library, indoors. I'd have much more luck with these wheels, whereas the transport chair is definitely a little bit more for outdoors. But as this is a self-propelled chair, this is definitely going to be more so my daily chair, especially for my high pain days. I'm still able to get around the house independently without having to have Brandon push me. But if I'm feeling too fatigued, I got the handlebars. Brandon can still push me if I need that. Self-propelled chair and the transport chair both have side handbrakes for the person who is in the chair. Both the transport chair and the self-propelled chair have these lift up armrests so you can go flush at a table. And both of them have the anti-tipper feature so we can't tip. The transport chair has handbrakes up here for the person pushing, whereas the self-propel does not. And that's the major difference between a self-propel, Nova's lightweight wheelchair, and their lightweight transport chair. A wheelchair, I have the ability to self-propel and move myself, but for a transport chair, you're more reliant on a caretaker or a person to push you. Tell me. I went to better and I dropped it. Sorry. Girl, that's not yours.
You guys saw it here first, folks. The transport chair is Salem approved, and honestly, it's kind of ableist how much she likes the chair, because I'm gonna need it at some point, girl. It's not yours. Time for an impromptu rollator shout out.
This is my rollator from my past collaboration with Nova, and I have gotten so much use out of it. I'm so grateful and so thankful for the opportunities that I've had to collaborate with this brand, and the mobility aids I have received from these collaborations have been life-changing for me and are going to continue to be life-changing for me. In my last collaboration with Nova, they gifted me this Nova Get-Go Classic Pink Rollator and a bunch of goodies along with it, such as a flashlight, a mobility bag, a cane holder, and a cup holder. And all of those goodies are also interchangeable with their wheelchair, so I will be taking them off of my rollator and putting them onto my self-propelled chair, as that's probably going to be my most used chair. I'm also making custom covers for the cushions to match their fuzzy black set that they have for the rollator. If you guys ever want to come up with cushion covers that match your rollator cushion covers, that would be super cool. But today I'm going to be doing it myself with a good old trusty sewing machine. I just want to say thank you so much again, Nova. Genuinely, these mobility aids have been life-changing and will continue to be life-changing, especially as my condition progresses or if I go through procedures. So thank you so much, Nova, and let's get into figuring out where your local Nova dealer is. Now, I understand that mobility aids are expensive, and if you're looking into one, I think these are great options, but I understand if you would like to try in person before you actually go ahead with buying one. So let's get into how you find your local Nova dealer so you can try before you buy.
You can either look up Nova's dealer locator just on their website, or I will have it linked within my links in my bio. You can type in your zip code and choose how far you would be willing to travel to find a Nova location. And personally, I'm just throwing in a random LA zip code. This is not my zip code. Y'all are not getting me to dox myself that easy. But if you're around Pasadena, here's your local dealer. Not mine though. So I just pulled up to my local Nova dealer, and this is my first time taking my self-propel wheelchair out and about, which I will say, I am a little nervous, and being nervous is completely normal. A lot of people who are new mobility aid users are nervous taking them out and about for the first time. So as much as I make it seem on my social media that it's a breeze, it's easy peasy, I'm confident, I'm not nervous at all, that's a lie. I do get nervous still. But I mean, I'm literally at a Nova dealer that deals mobility aids. So I should not be nervous to take my mobility aid into a place that literally helps disabled people. So let's get inside. Let's do this thing. Watching that back, I feel so silly now because everybody at my local Nova dealer was super nice. There was a couple ladies at the front desk and they were super nice and understanding of me recording. They didn't ask any questions. They were just super kind. Use my experience as a real life example that sometimes you get in your own head too much and nobody's judging you as much as you're judging yourself. You are your biggest bully and I need to work on that. And I'm an introspective yapper with a YouTube channel, so let me make this deeper than it needed to be. If you're looking for your first mobility aid, I understand that you might want to order one online. It's just easier, especially if you're already in chronic pain. But the experience of being at an in real life Nova dealer really put into perspective not only how many products Nova really makes, but that a mobility aid isn't always a wheelchair or a rollator or a cane. Sometimes it's bed wedges, and sometimes it's shower chairs, and sometimes it's things to help you get up and sit down on the toilet. There were so many things that I didn't even think of, that I had the privilege of not even having to think of. It just really put into perspective for me what a wide variety of things could be considered a mobility aid that maybe people wouldn't averagely think about. And the very obvious benefit of buying in real life is if you're buying a cane, rollator, walker, whatever you're buying, you can test it out in real life before you actually commit to it. And I do believe that my Nova dealer can also put in orders if you saw something you liked but wanted it in a different color, they could have it shipped to them. The vibes were great, it was accessible, I felt really accepted here, and I feel like this was a really good experience for my first outing in my self-propelled chair. As for the purple transport chair, we're gonna go check out a lights festival at our local zoo with our friends Brendan and Danielle. Being that it was my first time taking this chair out, there's a lot of communication that needs to be had between the person in the chair and the person pushing the chair, so have fun watching me and Brandon figure this out. Okay guys, we are at some zoo festival lights. It is still very much so bright outside. That's so pretty. Wow, being on a wheelchair is like being on a rolling gimbal.
You're like in a roller coaster.
It's Bones. It looks just like him. Guys, mind being in the background? I'm sorry if I overlap it. Okay. Don't run me into a cone. Oh my god. Oh, you're going a little fast. No, it just feels fast because my center of gravity is so low. I'm not used to it yet. Whoa, that's so pretty. Hold on. Hell yeah. That's gorgeous. Whoa. Sorry, I took that 180 kind of fast. Ignore the horrendous, super loud, non-copyright music that they're absolutely blaring. But this is my first time in the Nova purple transport chair. I'm loving it so far. I'm definitely still learning how to communicate with Brandon how fast he should be taking these turns because I am Tokyo drifting this shit a little bit. Oops. But we are learning. It is a learning curve, but I'm enjoying it. Nobody's looking at me weird. There's babies in scooters and babies in little strollers, and then there's me in this transport chair, and I'm low-key kind of loving it. Hello. I like your haircut.
Should I move away?
You're a cutie. Don't let it spit on me, Brandon. That's crazy.
Alright, let's go.
Let's go.
You actually
Oh
wanna
god.
stay, or-
Nope, let's go.
Okay.
Well, I got a vertical clip of before the lions started trying to get free. I really can't believe I did not get that on camera, luckily. Luckily. That's insane. Paparazzi. Miss Britney Spears. Oh no, I'm making him mad. Let's go. Goodbye, peacock. Thank you for not attacking me like the squirrel so wanted to. My first time taking out my transport chair, what did I learn? I learned that the zoo is absolutely an all-terrain type deal, with some parts being gravel, some parts being asphalt, and other parts being wood plank. Not to mention there was really steep inclines and declines, which had Brandon pumping the brakes so I wasn't flying down them too quickly. The lift-up armrest came in handy when it came to dinner time. Brandon had me pop a wheelie, and the anti-tippers stopped me from falling any further back than what was safe. It definitely took some trial and error to get the communication just right regarding pacing, how fast I want to be going, how quickly I want to be taking turns. It was definitely a little bit of a learning curve, but by the end of the trip, I felt as if me and Brandon's communication got a lot better regarding the pacing. We are still new to this, we are still learning, but I definitely feel like this was the perfect opportunity to use my transport chair, as this zoo is very all-terrain. Now that I've tested both chairs out in the real world, let's get to the part of the video that I know a lot of you guys are going to be excited for, how I'm gonna customize my self-propelled chair, because I love the purple on this transport chair, but I know I can make my self-propelled chair feel a little bit more vampire doll. I'm gonna get home and get sketching. Let's talk my favorite part of every project, the customization. Would you guys believe me if I told you that the customizations for my wheelchair are solely inspired by my favorite mug? I thrifted this mug a couple years ago and I just love the pastel pink with the white bones on top, so that really got my gears rolling for what I should do to my wheelchair. And as I do for all my big projects, I'm gonna make a rough sketch of what I believe the final product should end up looking like, along with writing some little notes and purchases that I've made along the way for this project. Starting with the elephant in the room, this is a black wheelchair and I want a pink base wheelchair, so my husband and I are gonna painstakingly mask off whatever we can't disassemble. So we will be disassembling as much as we easily can that won't harm the wheelchair in any way, making making sure to save all the parts and pieces and not lose anything, but anything we can't take apart, we're gonna mask with masking tape and spray paint with this spray paint. I did a lot of research on online forums and Reddit into bike painting. Considering wheelchair painting and bike painting are relatively the same, you're looking for a spray paint that holds up to wear and tear, sticks well to metal, and also you have good control and spray with. So I found this brand called Montana Cans. They're a graffiti spray paint brand that specializes in a slower spray nozzle so you get much more control with your paint and smoother finish. I'll be going with the shade Frozen Strawberry, a really pretty pastel pink, and topping with their silver glitter effect top coat. For better visibility at night, a lot of wheelchair users use reflective bike stickers on their wheelchair, and personally I couldn't find any that I liked, but I do have a Cricut machine. So theoretically, if I got reflective vinyl, I could use my Cricut machine and cut whatever shape I would like, and that's where the bones come in. Additionally, I ordered some black fluffy armrest covers for my arms and some matching black fluffy throw pillow covers that I'm going to sew custom to match the size of my seat cushions. As for storage, I ordered some little side wheelchair bag pocket storage, so along my sides I can have storage for my phone and smaller things like my glasses. As for larger storage, on the back I plan to use the mobility bag that they sent me when they sent my rollator for our first collaboration, because it has all my cute little pins on it and I really do love this bag. And this last little aesthetic thing that I got is a patch from an Etsy shop called Social Rebellion, and on it says, "Sometimes I walk, sometimes I roll," and it just so cutely encompasses what it is to be an ambulatory mobility aid user, because it's true, sometimes I do be walking. I think it's all gonna pull together super cutely and super nicely, but I think that's enough yapping and sketching. Let's get to the real deal. While we're waiting on bigger things to come in the mail like the paint and the vinyl, I'm gonna be working on my smaller accessories such as my mobility bag. I have a bunch of enamel pins that I have very near and dear to my heart on here, like this Mothman enamel pin that I actually got at the Mothman Museum in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I would be devastated if this fell off my bag, but its backing is kind of crappy, so I invested in some of the permanent backings. They like lock the back in, so if anything pulls or tugs or with daily wear and tear, these enamel pins are not coming off this bag. No sir. And the brand is called Mutter, I believe. Yeah. The locking backs give me peace of mind that I'm not going to lose my favorite pins while I'm out and about. And this mobility bag they gifted me for the rollator collaboration, as it has straps for the rollator, but it's also usable on their wheelchair. For even more storage, I got these little side panel reversible pocket things that can clip to your armrest, but my armrests are not really made for that, so I'm getting rid of these straps by cutting them off and taking a lighter to them to seal in the raw edges. I also have this elastic that has this really pretty lacy ribbon along the side that I will be using to replace those straps slightly differently. Sealing the raw edges on everything I cut just prevents it from fraying in the long run, especially with daily wear and tear. And I'm also taking that seam ripper and opening up one of the pockets that was split into two pockets, because personally I just prefer a bigger pocket. With this elastic lacy ribbon, I'm going to be making 3 straps along the side of the pocket that I'm not going to be using, tacking it down with a straight stitch so it stays in place, and then going over twice with a zigzag stitch to make sure that it's super strong on the pocket, so with daily wear and tear it cannot rip off. It's not necessarily a tutorial, as every wheelchair is gonna have slightly different armrests that might work differently for some people, but for me and what I'm doing right now, 3 straps just across the back is going to work out really nicely. And funnily enough, this isn't the only sewing we're doing. I want my wheelchair to match the fluffy black covers on my rollator, so I found that 18 by 18 throw pillow shams fit the tush cushion perfectly already. You just have to put them inside. But as for the happy back cushion, I got a 2-pack, and I will be sewing a custom cover for the happy back cushion by tracing it out along the top and along the bottom of a throw pillow cushion cover that has a zipper installed already, pinning it down so both sides are attached, and sewing around that outline that I drew, making sure that I started sewing with a straight stitch just to get everything tacked in place, but I went over it 2-3 times with a zigzag stitch to really ensure that that zipper is tacked down and stopped where it needs to be stopped, along with every corner is sealed in place really well so with wear and tear it won't come undone. Although there are holes that I needed to poke for the straps to be strappable onto the wheelchair, I literally just lined it up on top of it, flipped inside out, and drew out little ports where I could cut little slits into it to make the straps go through. With my custom cover sewn, I want to get my chair all black and fluffy and cute. And like I said, the 18 by 18 throw pillow covers do fit the tush cushion perfectly. You might have to fight with the handle just a little bit to get inside before zipping, but it turned out great. It looks flush. I love it. It looks like I bought it that way. Same with my custom cover. Very proud of this one if I do say so myself. And it has the holes for the straps to go through and strap to your chair. Along with, I ordered some little armrest covers that are that same black fuzzy material. So it literally looks like I got all of these as a set, and that's what I wanted so dearly, is to match my rollator. It looks really nice. It prevents my cats from scratching them up as well, just a heads up. As for other interchangeable wheelchair and rollator accessories, they gifted me this cup holder some time back, and I'm definitely going to get more use out of it on my wheelchair than I would my rollator, so I had Brandon install it on the leg rest there, and I love this thing. I use it so often. From our rollator collaboration again, they did gift me this clip-on flashlight that also works on their wheelchairs, along with this cane holder that can clip onto the rollator or the back of my wheelchair like so. For me, the cane is good to have a backup mobility aid, especially if I don't know if the location I'm going to is going to be wheel accessible or not. It's good to have my cane on me. Jumping straight into the main modifications, I'm using some painter's tape and a light colored pencil to get the measurements out of what kind of sizing I want for the reflective bones that I'm going to be using my Cricut machine for. I got my measurements and I just kind of rounded so it was easier to work with on a Photoshop or Illustrator file to 7 inches, 7 inches, and like 3.5-ish inches. I forgot to mention it before, but now that my husband is starting to disassemble my chair, I should mention it now. The backrest is adjustable, so if you have these back cushions that you want to put on your chair, you should lift the backrest up just a tiny bit so you have more room to strap it on. My husband takes apart everything he gets his hands on and puts it back together to learn the ins and outs of everything, so I just let my husband have at disassembling my chair to the best of his ability, only the things that he had the proper tools to work with. And before I get the comments, yes, I'm well aware, what's a girl to do than break a warranty or two? I know that any warranty or anything that would have been on this chair is definitely broken now that I've taken this thing completely apart and put it back together, but me and Brandon definitely made the executive decisions to only take apart the things that we knew how to put back together and had the parts to put back together. Anything that we couldn't figure out or didn't want to mess with the integrity of the chair, we just masked off not to paint. This part specifically, I want to emphasize these plastic shieldings along the side are held in with rivets, and Brandon did have to drill out the rivets, but if you buy a rivet tool, which isn't too horribly expensive, and replacement rivets, I'll put the measurements me and Brandon found worked best on the screen here. You can replace the rivets just fine. You're just gonna have to drill out the original rivets. But getting this plastic shielding out was gonna be integral to our repaint because it was gonna be such a pain in the butt to have to mask and paint around. We really wanted it out to get a better and cleaner coat of paint. And yeah, like I said, anything we couldn't figure out how to take off or take apart easily, we just masked off. It's not that hard. We removed the brake system and Brandon masked everything for me. I'm so grateful and so lucky to have this guy in my life. He does everything I tell him to. And before we take this hunk of metal outside to paint, Brandon's taking some rubbing alcohol and wiping down all of the metal spots that we will be painting to ensure that we got all of our like finger oils off of the metal before painting. Sometimes those fingerprints can interfere with how the primer sits, and we want this as clean as a coat as possible. We hung up the armrest parts specifically, and then the rest we put on a shelf in our backyard that we use specifically for spray painting. Before we're going in with that frozen raspberry Montana cans pink, we're going in with 3 powder white layers of primer, just to ensure that the pink has a good base to stick to, and building up the pink color is definitely going to be more vibrant and nicer over a white base than the black base. We want nice, thin, flat coats. To get that, we're staying at a pretty far distance while spraying, and spraying in short, light intervals, not staying in one area for too long because you don't want any of the liquid buildup. After 3 thin layers timed out so they're drying in between, we let it dry for a good hour and then came out and gave it a wipe down just to ensure that there's no powder residue that might sit the pink weird. We learned this from painting a lot of furniture that sometimes primer will leave like a powdery film and if you don't wipe it off, the paint on top doesn't always sit the nicest. Going in with that frozen raspberry shade, we're gonna do 3 really light coats. 3 is our lucky magic number here. It's what gets the best coverage but still very light. Just do 3 light coats of this pink and you will have it fully built up. And after that, a couple hours later, we also did 3 clear coats to seal and protect everything in. I did not go in with the glitter because I did a trial run of whether or not the vinyl that I wanted to stick on it liked sticking on glitter, and unfortunately it did not. So we parted ways with the glitter idea. We're just gonna go in with the straight pink because the vinyl will stick better to it. While Brandon's working on all of the paint stuff, let's get inside and start working on the reflective vinyl bones that I'm gonna stick onto it after it's done drying. So I got this white reflective vinyl, which in regular light might just look white to you, but let's go to my pitch black, completely dark bathroom and use flash. You can see this thing is reflective AF. It is literally what bike stickers are made out of. It's just the vinyl before it's cut. It is very curly though, that it's been coiled up, so I took the hairdryer to it just to flatten it out a little bit better so my Cricut machine would like cutting on this material more. Also for my Cricut girlies, you guys know that this is a subtle flex. Yes, I have the Magenta Explore Air 2. They made a pastel pink and it usually with sun exposure turns this nasty ham color, so getting my hands on the Magenta Explore Air over Facebook Marketplace for secondhand for half the price it was originally sold for is my biggest flex to this date. And yes, I am also a graphic designer of almost 4 years and I still have my husband do anything that has to do with Adobe Illustrator. He's got it because I hate Illustrator. Oh my god, why is it so hard to use? But I got those bones cut out in an SVG file and I have them set up on my Cricut, and that's when I found out that my cats actually hate the Cricut machine. I don't use it super often. I use it every once in a while, maybe like once every other month for a craft, and I did not know that it was so criminally offensive to the feline species, dear god. I cut off that excess vinyl and saved the rest for later and weeded the bones out so they were ready for use. At this point in the other room, my wheelchair is now dry from being painted and Brandon's beginning to take all of the masking tape back off. There is no full take apart and rebuild tutorial for this wheelchair, so Brandon found an online parts manual specifically for this lightweight chair. He downloaded and printed that so he could reference that off camera, but he also partnered that with all of the footage he took of himself disassembling this wheelchair so he could just kind of retrace his steps backwards now that it's pink and ready to be rebuilt. I do not have much footage of Brandon reassembling this chair because I didn't find it all that interesting and both of our phones were charging as it was the middle of the night at this point and we were having a really bad storm, so we just wanted to ensure that our phones were on the charger in case of emergency. Also, getting back to that note I made when Brandon was originally disassembling this wheelchair, the metal little planky panel things Brandon did have to reinstall new rivets into because we drilled out the original rivets, but with a rivet tool that's super easy. What made this project a lot easier for us is staying away from anything we weren't fully confident we didn't have the tools, parts, whatever knowledge to replace. So the riveting tool was probably the most difficult thing for us as we did get a riveting tool and have to learn how to use it. But aside from that, all of it is just screws and nuts and bolts and nothing too complex. And anything that we weren't completely sure about, we just strayed away from messing with altogether. Knowing our boundaries is what's made this project better. Brandon got the chair put back together, so I'm gonna go in with my little vinyl cutouts now, and they just stick on like a sticker, truly. I lined them up a couple separate times, making sure not to press them all the way down so I could really get that perfect lineup. And there are gonna be bumps and gaps in the vinyl before you heat it up because a lot of vinyls do have like a heat activated adhesive that I'm just gonna activate with a heat gun afterwards to make sure that the vinyl lays down down really flush and smooth and is less likely to get peeled back up in the long run and get damaged. I used up the bones that I originally had cut for this and realized I wanted one more pair of the little bones for along the bottom, along with making these cute little hearts and crossbones for this gap above my small wheels wheel bearing. I just felt like it looked a little too empty, and I feel like that's such a cute and girly addition that does have functionality. They may look like cute stickers, but my chair is going to be a lot more visible at night because of this, and just going in with the heat gun, I am able to smooth out that vinyl until it's damn near perfectly smooth along the finish of the chair. And it makes me really happy I didn't go with the glitter because I would be risking the vinyl not sticking as well because of it. Good morning, it's the next day. I am laying in the living room. Excuse good mythical morning, ear biscuits in the background. So last night we had a pretty bad storm. So I was trying to stay off my phone as much as possible and keep it on a charger because I do live in an area that's pretty prone to power outages, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough battery life on my phone in case of an emergency. And so I kind of just got the main clips that I feel like you guys get the gist of it. I had my husband do a lot of work for me. Thank you, Brandon. Love you, Pookie. He took everything apart. He labeled all the pieces. He watched back his footage of him taking it apart to use as a guide to put back together. It is put back together now. He had to buy a riveting tool, but we probably needed one anyway because of how many projects we work on. And I had so much success with the reflective bones, and I can't wait for you guys to see the footage of it in like full action with light reflecting off of it. It looks so sick. So I did consider printing some more for the purple transport chair because I loved it. I loved how it turned out. So that's exactly what we're gonna do in this little pause intermission before I show you guys the final product of the self-propelled chair. There's one thing though that I'm realizing. I don't think that patch is gonna be here in time for the video. I've already waited a couple days for vinyl and for a riveter to come, that I really just don't want to have to wait another week for this patch. So is it lying if I Photoshop it into my photos? Let me know, because I'm gonna have it in a week, but I'm not making you guys wait another week for this video. I have worked on it long enough. I am very content and very happy with where it's at right now. So let's get putting more bright holographic bones on my purple transport chair. I don't know why the hell I said holographic. I meant reflective, but that's exactly what I did. I limited them to just the bottom of the purple chair because I tried to put them on the top of the purple chair. I don't know, it just wasn't serving the same way it was on pink. But I do like the bone reflectors on the purple chair as well. Keeps me safer at night, keeps me safer in dim light. They're staying. And I applied them exactly the same as the pink chair. You just stick them on like stickers, but you don't stick them on all the way, so you can get a really good, clean, even lineup before sticking them down and using the heat gun to activate that adhesive. It's the same exact thing as like some of my console wraps that I sell on my website. For space reasons, I folded up my transport chair and put it in storage so I can have more room in the living room. And oh my god, my cats are so cute. I was trying to make it seem like I was filming my wheelchair here, but I was absolutely just trying to get that shot of them cleaning each other. It's so cute! As for my self-propelled chair, I am feeling really good about how it's looking so far. The only thing missing in these clips is the patch that hadn't yet come in the mail, and also the little nut on the wheeled external part does have a cover that I forgot to put on before recording. So at the end, I'm gonna show some like official final b-roll of everything put together, but we are almost there in these clips. And I should have mentioned this sooner, but there are little holes in the backrest that you see there with a zip tie tying through to tie it to the frame. Realistically, I should have done that at the very beginning when the chair was still black, but I didn't do it knowing in advance that I was going to be taking the chair back apart to repaint pink. And now that I'm really fully satisfied with how this chair looks, the color is beautiful, I'm obsessed, I was able to put those zip ties in and really fasten my back seating area to the frame so it feels more stable and put together. But let's just appreciate how clean and stock this pink paint job turned out. I genuinely wouldn't have been able to do this without my husband, and I am so impressed with how this turned out. Guys, it's literally later in the day. I manifested it. I said the patch isn't probably coming in time for the video, blah blah blah. Went to check my mail, boom, it's here, so let's put it on my bag. It is an iron-on patch, so I heated it up until the back became kind of gooey, but I also gave it a couple dots of super glue just to really ensure that that thing's not coming off of that mobility bag. And here it is, guys, the final shots of my self-propel chair. This is definitely gonna be more so my everyday chair. I am obsessed with this vampire doll makeover. Haha, you guys thought this already very long video is about to be over, but I want to end it on a really good note. I scored an interview with the founder and CEO of Nova, Sue Chen. She's totally awesome. I want my audience to get to know her as well as I did, and give some context surrounding this company, how they started, and what they're all about.
With dirty tennis balls. How did this become the walker standard in America? Why is this still the standard today? We deserve better than this. Nova is here to change the way you move with the most stylish, high-quality collection of walkers in the world. We want you to love your walker. You can choose from a firm plastic or padded seat. You can even add a sexy snow leopard seat cover, personal taste and lifestyle. Add a leopard mobility clutch for your cell phone, a flashlight attachment for the evening, a leopard mobility bag for your personal belongings, and a back cushion for some good-looking comfort.
Hi!
So,
I just want to start off with like a little introductory section. What is your name and your position within the Nova company?
my name is Sue Chen, and I am the founder and CEO of Nova Medical Products.
Amazing! And when did you create Nova? I was looking into some footage from up to 10 years ago, and I'm like, dang, this lady's been in the game for some time. She knows what she's doing.
So I am not a young person.
Girl,
I
you
started
look it.
Nova-
You look it.
I started Nova in 1993, and I was 23 years old. So you can do the math and guess my age.
What inspired you to create Nova? Like, was there any story behind it in particular, or was it just a direction that you've wanted to go for a while?
Well, Nova was actually my late father's dream. He was a rehab doctor, and so his passion was working with patients and customers and like you. I mean, he was so inspired by the courage and the ambition of his patients, especially when he was at the VA. And sadly, he passed away before he was able to realize his dream, but he wanted to make better products for people with physical challenges. And I had the opportunity to carry that dream forward when I graduated from college. And so I gave it a try, and that's how I got started.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story. I'm sorry for your father's passing, but it is so beautiful that you were able to keep his dream going even past his legacy.
And just that dream alone, it sounds like he was very patient oriented. He wanted better for his patients, and you continuing that on, that is amazing. So this question is a little more open-ended. It has like a couple questions within it. You can take it however you want to take it and talk on it however you want to talk about it. But what do you hope to see in the future? Change regarding how people view disabilities, either outwardly or becoming newly disabled, or something within the disabled community that you'd like to see change within the future?
That is such an important question. And thank you for asking that, because the word disability, in all these years that I've been with Nova, just feels wrong. And as I've gotten to know our customers, that word does not define them. Society defines them, and that word needs to change, because with disability comes fear. People are afraid, when people are looking at people that have disabilities, talking with people with disabilities, there's so much fear around the population of people who are disabled. And when you have fear, you make assumptions. And when you have assumptions, you create judgment. And when you have judgment, then you have a barrier to connecting with people.
Disability has such a stigma surrounding it that it almost seems like when somebody's labeled with that, they don't see all of the road bumps along the way that person has to fight through to get to where they are. It's like these people who they fight 10 times harder to get done the same amount of what somebody else is doing, and it just shows how much push they have behind it.
That's exactly right. So you're so courageous. You have so much grit. You have so much ambition. And in addition to that, you have so much sass and style. And your disability is so limiting. It just doesn't allow people to think beyond a disability. And that's what I would like to change, is that dis. Replace that dis with the proper words that should go with ability.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. Something that I noticed, I went to our local Nova dealer last Wednesday, and I noticed so many things that weren't necessarily mobility aids in the general concept of what you'd think a mobility aid is: a walker, a rollator, a wheelchair. Like, you kind of would think those are the major, a cane, the major ones you think of when you think of the word mobility aid. What I noticed is you guys offer a lot of things like bed ramp pillows, like the lifted bed pillows, and safety rails for showers or near toilets, or things to help you transport from within a chair, things to help you put socks on. And it really opened my eyes and realized that the spectrum of a mobility aid is so much more than just what you would initially think. Are there any products that you guys have, that you sell, that you feel like doesn't get enough recognition, that you think might help more people, disabled or not?
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that. There are so many products beyond things that help you with mobility. It's more about independence. It's about comfort. It's about all these things that empower human ability, and that's why our tagline is that. So like a bath chair, to be able to bathe yourself, to be able to toilet with safety and security. Those are not disabled products. Those are empowering products, and they do help your mobility. But one product that I would love to give more attention is a product that you might be using, Zoe, and that's our transport chair. Because when people think of wheelchairs, they think, oh my goodness, heavy, big, bulky, difficult to work with. And also there's a stigma attached to a wheelchair. I mean, that is kind of the symbol of disability. And why I love to promote transport chairs is because they are lighter, they're compact. And so because they're light and compact, they can take you just about anywhere. But in addition to that, we have transport chairs that I like to call all-terrain. So they've got brakes and big wheels. So like, you and your husband want to go for a hike, there might be a little hill, there might be some gravel areas, you can go for it, And so that way, if you're having a little bit of a rougher day, but you still want to get out there and you still want to do these things, transport chair can get you there.
And that's
So
life changing. That really is, because even in my experience, I've had some really high pain days where I'm like, oh my god, I would give anything to go on a walk, but that's not, my body's not keeping up with my brain today. And I have like sat inside when I so desperately have wanted to go on a walk with my husband or something, and now like just tomorrow I actually have plans. Our local zoo is having like a lights festival, and I'll be taking the transport chair with me for that, and I'm so excited. It makes me so happy.
that makes me so happy. I mean, that is what I live for, and that's why, 32 years into this, I feel so like excited, because every time I meet someone like you, Zoe, I just get fired up. I feel like I get more of your courage, I get more of your ambition, I get more of your passion, and that our product can get you to the zoo, to the light festival. I mean, that means everything to us.
Oh, it's been a really exciting time to collaborate with you guys. I've had a really good experience, and doing the unboxing and everything, I definitely shared some happy tears with my husband, because it is a very bittersweet thing to accept. Yeah, my health isn't the greatest, but I've had a really good experience getting to learn and use mobility aids, and hope that through me using my mobility aids and being more open about it on my social media, it makes it feel more normal for people my age as well.
Thank you for doing that, Zoe. You are so ambitious and so courageous, and so, truly defining the word amazing.
And thank you. Thank you for taking a shot on me, because I know that our first collaboration with the Rollator, back there, right there, it was about a year ago, and I was just I was kind of in a rougher state with accepting that my condition was worsening, and I was like, why don't I reach out? The least I could do was take a shot, and I do thank you guys so dearly for taking a shot on me and, letting me have this opportunity to show my audience and go through these stages of dealing with a chronic illness, but together, and feeling like I have a lot of support behind me. It really has made this transition much easier and much better for me.
And transition is really the spice of life. We all are going to be going through transitions. It's just, how are we going to do it? One of the things that I was thinking about, because you love pink so much and you wear pink so well, I don't know if you know the story behind your pink rollator.
I do not. I would love to hear it though. That'd be amazing.
Well, it's what you and Natalie Portman have in common. And so I wanted to do a pink rollator, but it had to be the right color, because pink comes in so many different shades. And with the wrong pink, it could just really look weird.
Yeah, a ham pink. I hate ham pink. Ham pink is not a very pretty color, and I've seen a lot of mobility aid companies go for that orange pink, and I'm like, ooh, no.
Yes, and so we had some pink rollators brought in for me to see, and I just was like, this is just not the right pink. This is not our user. And so then it was 2009, and it was the Academy Awards, and Natalie Portman walked onto the red carpet in that gorgeous, pink dress. And I was that's the pink.
Yes, absolutely.
So I sent that picture to our factory partner, and I was like, this is the pink that I want.
That is
on the
so amazing. That is such a good lore drop. That is amazing. I love to hear that background. And it is a beautiful shade of pink. I will argue, I have an off-brand, one of my first canes that I ever got, and it's very similar to the Rollator, but it's not it. It's not it. The Rollator is just the most beautiful shade of in-between metallic-y pink. I fell in love with it the second I saw it on your guys' website. Nobody has done it like you guys have done it, and I would love to see you guys extend that pink to other products too. A pink transport chair someday would be totally cool. I was watching back some of your unboxing videos, and I'm like, ooh, Sue is a diva. I love her. She's always got the cute boots on. I saw one video where you had the cheetah leopard print on the red rollator, and I was like, that is such a slay. This girl is a diva, and she knows it in the best way. You guys are one of the only brands truly that brings fashion colors and textures and textiles and patterns into your rollators in such a fashionable way that really no other brands are doing like you guys. And that was like one of the huge things that drew me to you guys to begin with, was like they are doing something right with the colors, the textiles, everything.
Well, it's because I'm obsessed with our customer. And I listen to them and I watch them. And like, who decided that just because you have physical challenges that you don't care about style? Or just because you're older that you don't care about style? Like, who made that stupid decision and made everything gray and ugly? And so as I got to know our customers like you and listen to them and was obsessed with our customers, I was like, I'm gonna make leopard, I'm gonna do pink, and it's gonna be the right pink, and I'm gonna do purple, and it's gonna be a gorgeous purple.
Oh, and the purple is so pretty. It's even prettier in real life. Like, I saw it in the pictures and I was like, that's a pretty purple. And when I was unboxing it, I'm like, this is like galaxy, beautiful, deep, regal purple. I'm obsessed with it.
I'm so glad, because it matters so much to me. And so, there have been, people have been making mobility aids for, 100 years. It's just so ugly. And that always bothered me, I was like, what is it so ugly? Because I don't think our customer wants an ugly walker.
I absolutely appreciate what you guys are doing for disabled community as a whole and people looking for mobility aids. You guys have quite literally changed the game. I was so impressed with how many items that I didn't even know about, that I hadn't even seen yet. When I went into that dealer that had all of your guys' items, I will show you guys the footage eventually when I put it into my video, but I was very, very impressed and bewildered with how much you guys had available for people and stuff that I didn't even really know existed. And then all of it's relatively fashionable and cool looking too. I saw your guys' light blue rollator for the first time. Stunning, beautiful, bless it. It was so pretty. I got very good footage of it because it was probably the prettiest rollator they had in the store, and they had like a couple others that were not your guys' brand. Lame, boo, boo, L, hated it. It was not cute. And then I see your guys' I'm like, beautiful cherry red with the sparkles and the light bird robin egg blue. Of course she's gonna do it amazing like that. But
thank you for noticing, Zoe. Of course you would.
Oh yeah, no, my day job is a graphic designer, so I'm gonna notice beautiful colors when I see them, and you guys, every single time, you kill it. It's absolutely something that you guys do so much better than other brands. Aside from that, I think we've covered all of the bases. If there's anything you would like to say that I could just throw into the video alternatively, like if you have any message for my audience directly, if you have anything to tell them, if you feel good, I think we're good.
Well, my only message would be my message to you, Zoe. And when you are out there tomorrow at the zoo and you are riding in style, I would just say you are a queen. You are beautiful and you are a badass.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind. Seriously. You have made this such an amazing experience. And honestly, you're a badass too, like queen. I saw you unboxing wheelchairs in your heels and I'm like, oh, she's awesome. She's so cool. No, I literally, yeah, I love you. Like, you're so cool. Thank you so much again for having this interview with me and helping me, sponsoring me through these videos, whatever. And yeah.
Would you guys believe me if I said that this video was only originally intended to be about 10-15 minutes, but now after editing it all, I'm finding it's probably closer to an hour, if not more. Yeah, this is the longest you guys have spent with me. Hi, I feel like we're actually friends now. We've been hanging out this whole time. I will say, I think I needed this video more than you guys did. Like, in all seriousness, this has been a very therapeutic video for me to make. A common point I bring up in my therapy sessions is I really struggle to accept A, that my condition's gotten worse over the last couple years, and B, that this is a lifelong condition that doesn't have a cure. Because what do you mean I went all the way into my adulthood, all the way until 18, and that's when I found out that I had an incurable condition that is going to affect me my entire life. So it is definitely something that's been hard for me to wrap my brain around for the last couple years. And I remember when I was first diagnosed, I was in complete denial. I just kind of pushed it into a corner of my brain like, oh, that could never affect me. And then years down the line, here it is affecting me now more than it ever has. So this video, it honestly felt like, with the years of therapy under my belt, doing acceptance practices, like practices cancer patients would do when it comes to accepting their condition, I was doing to kind of accept the fact that, like, yeah, it's here and it's not going anywhere, but there's so many things that I can do to not only help alleviate some of the symptoms and stuff that comes with it, but to protect myself, like using mobility aids. This video, for me, I'm gonna get sentimental, really feels almost like a closing of a chapter, not of my condition, that's there forever, but the closing of the chapter of me really struggling to not only like admit online, but accept that this condition's here to stay, but there are things I can do to accommodate it. Got diagnosed, and for 2 years, I pretty much hid it on my social media. I hid the fact that I was struggling behind the scenes. I hid the fact that I was using mobility aids, and I can contribute it to one post on my Instagram in particular where I was just fed up. I was getting sicker. I was tired of not seeing people online like myself. And now that I've like fully embraced, like, hey, this is who I am and this is an ailment I have, but it's gonna be there and it's just gonna be a part of me, but it's okay because there's so much more to me. I found such a lovely and diverse chronic illness community of people who have similar conditions to me, who relate to me, who feel the same way I did. And I didn't really feel the need to hide it on social media anymore. So this video entirely has been so, honestly, like, I have cried so many happy and sad and bittersweet tears throughout this entire project of accepting that that's where I'm at and that's what I have to deal with, but also knowing that I have such a good support group, such a good foundation of people who love and support me. Not just you guys, my followers, who have been nothing but kind to me and, you know, talking about your experiences with chronic illness and finding a community who understands what you go through, but also like my husband, Brandon, he has been the biggest help throughout all of this. Behind every single video of mine is Brandon behind the camera. Behind every project of mine is a sketch of mine I brought to Brandon to bring to life. Like, having a spouse who not only understands your chronic illness but is there to support you is truly the best thing. And he's my best friend, and I'm so lucky to have him and have him help me with these projects, because like I often say that it feels like my brain goes faster than my body can, because my body with my conditions can't catch up as fast as my brain is. And Brandon helps bridge that gap of getting my vision off of paper and into real life. So I greatly appreciate Brandon. Yeah, love you. But not just like my spouse, but my friends like Brendan and Danielle being willing to help me, you know, get some shots and clips of my transport chair at the zoo and helping me film this YouTube video and not treating me any different because I was in a wheelchair and they hadn't seen me in one yet. Like, nothing changed. Having friends that support you with your chronic illness is so important too, because nothing changed. They didn't view me any different. They didn't treat me any different. It just made me really sentimental and happy that I have such a good foundation of my husband and my friends and my family and the CEO of Nova. Obviously, you guys saw that interview I had with her, and I feel like me and her have really good chemistry. She is so kind, and I'm gonna be like eternally grateful for this collaboration, because truly it's opening my eyes to a world of like, I can accommodate my pain and enjoy life too. And that's crazy for me, that it really is. Sue's incredibly kind gesture of gifting me so many mobility aids and sponsoring me through this collaboration, it isn't gonna go unmatched, because I really do like try to gift back to my loved ones in times of need. And my friend's mom recently had an accident where she sprained her ankle. I'm really chill with this mom. She's so nice. And I will be lending her my rollator for a little bit while she's in her recovery period for the next couple weeks, because if I can help, that's how I'm gonna help. And same goes for my younger sibling in the upcoming year. Because of our Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, he has a lot of scoliosis issues. He's gonna have a spinal surgery. That transport chair is definitely gonna get some use out of my younger sibling. I'm always gonna give back to the people who I love and care about if I can. And so just know that the kindness that Sue has passed on to me, it isn't gonna go unmatched. Back to the conclusion, I am so incredibly grateful for this collaboration, and know that every single piece of this collaboration is gonna get use. All of it is getting used. I'm so excited to take out my pastel gothy self-propel chair. We recently got a dinosaur museum nearby us, and you know it's going with me because I'm really excited to see that. And when it comes to us moving across the country for better medical care, of course I will keep you guys updated on how that goes, how that's going. We're actually beginning to start packing stuff all around the house, and I will be documenting the entire move. I'm trying to line up some sponsorships for that video because it will be a very expensive move across the country, and I'm really excited to bring you guys content that's more vlog style. I'm really liking these docu-series longer videos where I just get into depth with everything. I am a yapper, and I just think maybe a YouTuber was the perfect opportunity for me to yap on camera and have you guys listen. Thank you so much again, Nova. Thank you, Sue. I will be tagging all of their links down in the description, the dealer locator, whatever products I have, I will link down below. I'll have my socials and my links linked down below. Make sure you check out my website. I might consider selling some of these reflective bone stickers for people's wheelchairs on my website, so I will probably make a post separately about that, but keep an eye out for it. Maybe check my website, might have them up, might not yet, but I will keep you guys updated with that, of course. And I love you guys, and thank you guys so much for sticking along with this very transitional, kind of heart-to-heart style video today. I know it's not my usual content, but it feels like I say that every video because my content is always changing, and I'm always taking you guys with me, and I'm always gonna keep you guys updated, because if there's one thing I'm gonna do is talk endlessly. Shouts out to my 2 patrons. We actually have patrons to shout out now, and that's really exciting. So shouts out to you guys. Love you so much. You guys are always supporting me, always talking. In our we have a patron Discord server where if you're a patron you can join in, and I send behind the scenes of YouTube videos and chunks of YouTube videos early in advance, so you guys get early access to YouTube videos. You guys can see the behind the scenes of what me and Brandon are shooting. We occasionally put up cooking videos. We need to be a little bit more on top of cooking videos, as we only have 1 up right now, but we do want to do more. I also have me and Brandon's wedding vows uploaded to my Patreon, so if you guys want to see like our wedding vows when we got married a couple months ago, they're up on my Patreon. Any link that you guys may need from me or Brandon should be linked down in my description. Same with all of Nova's stuff. I love you guys, and gotta go. Bye! I roll off the screen and it's gonna be badass, except I'm really slow because I haven't built up my upper arm strength yet. I will build up better upper arm strength soon, but as of right now, I'm still pretty weak. I'm working on it. I'm still new to this. Love you guys. Bye!